The two deans shot by a student at East High last year plan to sue the district. We break down the details and new documents obtained by 9 News.
Former President Donald Trump can be on Colorado's ballot.
It's a blowout.
The lawyers who argued to keep him off the ballot still see the Supreme Court's decision as a good thing.
Thieves keep busting into vape shops in the metro area.
I'm cursing these guys out. I'm really angry.
One shop owner says he's worried it won't stop.
The flakes are coming down in the high country, and there's a chance for snow in Denver later this week.
It's official. Russell Wilson will be leading the Broncos. We've got the reactions from players. 9 News at 10 starts now. Two deans shot by a student at East High last year have taken the steps in filing a lawsuit against Denver Public Schools. Austin Lyle was required to be pat down for weapons.
He fired a gun during one of those searches. A dean says school administrators failed to follow safety protocols. Here's 9 News reporter Kelly Reinke.
Two deans at Denver's East High School survived a shooting last March after a student fired a gun inside the school. Now they're calling the district negligent for what happened before Austin Lyle pulled the trigger. Documents obtained by 9 News show in September, Eric Sinclair and Gerald Mason filed a notice of claim, something they must do before filing a lawsuit. Last March, Sinclair was patting Lyle down for weapons before the student shot him and Mason. In his claim, Sinclair says the assistant principal and student safety coordinators failed to follow proper safety protocols. Before attending East, Lyle was expelled from Cherry Creek schools for issues with firearms. He was also on probation for a weapons charge. Even knowing that, a police report says Denver Public Schools at first only required Lyle to do a verbal check-in. Verbal only, no weapons check. It wasn't until a student reported seeing him with a gun in class that he was required to be patted down. Sinclair in his claim says after that report, East High's assistant principal and principal didn't take reasonable action to protect faculty. Mason also names the district and school board members in his claim. He said he suffered permanent injuries because of the district's recklessness. Eric Sinclair says his damages are more than $1 million. Mason listed his damages as more than $5 million. Denver Public Schools says they are not able to comment on possible lawsuits.
This is a first step. When we talk about Luis Garcia, his family made that first step months ago.
Yeah, they filed a notice of claim last May, and they still have not filed a lawsuit. So again, these two deans filed separately a notice of claim back in September, and at this point, no lawsuit has been filed in that case either.
Okay, it takes time. All right, thank you, Kelly.
Former President Donald Trump will stay on primary ballots around the country, and that means right here in Colorado.
This morning, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a unanimous decision saying that only Congress, not states, can disqualify a candidate using the Constitution's insurrection clause. Republican Norma Anderson was one of 6 Colorado voters that joined a liberal group out of Washington, D.C. to sue and keep Trump from running for office again, citing the 14th Amendment. She says she knew after the Supreme Court hearing earlier this month in D.C. that she would not win her challenge to keep Trump off the primary ballot, though her legal team saw silver linings in the 9-0 decision against them.
We did lose, but unlike the Broncos analogy, what happened here was that Donald Trump asked the court to do several things, any one of which would have resulted in a victory for him. They only did the narrowest, most procedural one. So I would analyze this more, not as a 55-10 defeat, but as a game that was decided by the refs.
It's a blowout.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't see where we got, what did we get, according to the lawyers?
Bottom line, Trump is eligible for the 2024 election, and any future challenge citing the Constitution's insurrection clause is on hold until Congress passes legislation that says if courts can consider those challenges or if it's only Congress that can.
Colorado is one of more than a dozen states holding their primary presidential election on Super Tuesday. You need to return your ballot or vote in person by 7 tomorrow night. We have more information about how to find the closest location to where you are in our election article on 9news.com. So far, the state says it's received nearly 1 million ballots. Of course, we'll be following along all tomorrow as Super Tuesday results come in. You can follow our updates tomorrow night on air and online at 9news.com.
USPS says 2 letter carriers were robbed at gunpoint today in the Montbello neighborhood of Denver about 5 p.m. A home security camera captured the suspects taking off in a white Hyundai Sonata. USPS says this first happened near Bowling Drive and Duluth Court, the second on Eureka Court. If you have any information, you are asked to call U.S. Postal Service inspection at the number on your screen.
A business owner in Commerce City is furious after 4 masked burglars smashed into his vape shop with a stolen car, stole $5,000 worth of items, and then left behind tens of thousands of dollars in damage. The burglary happened just after 3 o'clock Friday morning near East 62nd Avenue and Vasquez Boulevard. 9 News reporter Brianna Clark talked to the owner tonight.
I end up seeing them walk back into their car, and it looked like they were about to leave, when then all of a sudden they threw it in reverse and hopped the curb.
The shop has been broken into before, but never like this.
I'm cursing these guys out. I'm really angry. I mean, this is my livelihood, you know?
Ala Sawaged is the owner of Darth Vapor Smoke Shop in Commerce City.
One of these, look how small it is. It's a tiny little thing. They come in either 5 or 10 in a box.
It's what he says these thieves took when they broke into his store early Friday morning, stealing $5,000 worth of product and causing $20,000 in damage.
We've noticed the last few years from January to the end of March-ish, especially when it's starting to snow, when it really starts to snow, we know it's going to happen. That's when they come and hit us.
A trend he's seen again this year.
My uncle in Highlands Ranch, he has a few shops. 5 times in 3 weeks, they all got hit.
Ala's business partner owns a vape shop in Wheat Ridge. Police say 3 masked people broke into that store on February 7th.
Don't be surprised if you get a text from me in the next 2 weeks saying I got hit again.
He's already had 3 break-ins in 14 months. A 4th could be detrimental, and not just for him.
It's scary because it's like, oh, can I afford to pay them, keep paying my employees and getting hit like this every other week? I can't. I'd almost rather leave the door unlocked that night. Just walk in and take what you want. But don't ruin the whole storefront.
Wheat Ridge and Commerce City police have yet to make any arrests. Investigators are still trying to figure out if these crimes are related.
And for the store to keep being hit over and over again, you would think these types of shops have like a lot of security at some level, right?
Yeah, they do. He's implemented stronger windows. These are actually reinforced so that if someone were to throw something at it, they won't break. He wasn't prepared for a vehicle to be running into it.
Yeah, I guess windows are no match for a car. All right, Brianna, thank you.
Mm-hmm. There is still some lingering snow in the mountains tonight. Here's a look at I-70 near Vail Pass. Driving conditions aren't great. They're not horrendous either. And Lauren, the mountains are just digging all this snow. Not the wind, but the snow.
Yeah, that's right. We take the snow. The wind you can keep, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we've been seeing those higher totals over the high country the last day or so. These totals do come from the National Weather Service, and these are the official totals. I know we've gotten a couple of people questioning the numbers. These are our official totals from the National Weather Service. Green Mountain Reservoir reported 19.5 inches of snow. Ridgeway saw just under 17 inches in Cameron Pass. Winter Park reporting 16 inches, 14.3 in Glendive and Spicer. Breckenridge reporting 14 inches, just over 13 in Silverthorne. Loveland Pass and Copper Mountain both reporting 13 inches of new snow. Mount Crested Butte reporting a foot of new snow. So we are going to continue to keep these winter weather advisories in effect for the next couple of hours or so, because while we're still seeing maybe smaller amounts of snow, it's the winds that are causing a big issue. So we'll talk more about that. We'll also talk about more of the lingering mountain snow over the next few days, and when the Front Range could finally get some snow chances. Then moving ahead to the weekend, the sunshine and warm weather returns. I'll have all of these details for you just ahead of my 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Lauren. People convicted of shoplifting in Aurora would go straight to jail under a new ordinance making its way through City Council. The ordinance already passed its first reading. It would require jail time for anyone convicted of retail theft valued at $100 or more. The first offense would be a mandatory minimum of 3 days in jail. Second offense, 90 days. A third, 180 days. A business owner who's dealing with shoplifting hopes it passes.
We want our customers to feel safe when they come in, and having a law that gives consequences immediately helps us do that. So, and if it does this much, I'm great. If it does this much, I'm better.
Allison Coombs, who's an Aurora City Council member, is against the idea. She says studies show it won't stop people from reoffending, especially if police aren't solving these crimes.
Seems like we're going to be putting a lot of resources into something that is unlikely to be effective, and no amount of sentencing is going to change that if people don't think they're going to get caught.
This ordinance passed its first reading 7-3. It will have a second reading next week. Russ, we barely got to know you. The obvious became reality today. Russell Wilson no longer a Denver Bronco.
Earlier today, the team announced they plan to release him after the start of the new league year, which is next week. So let's bring in 9 News sports reporter Jacob Toby to kind of talk more about this not necessarily surprising news.
No, I think it's kind of just more of a formality. You're talking about theft in that last story. Russell Wilson kind of stealing some money from the Broncos here.
A whole bunch.
No, I'm just kidding.
Tell it like it is.
I'm just kidding. Okay, it's a deal that'll go down as one of the worst NFL trades of all time. Not just because of what Denver gave up, but because of all the hype and expectations that were ultimately not met. The Broncos sent out a statement today saying they have notified Russell Wilson that he will be released by March 13th, the start of the new league year. And by releasing their quarterback, now the Broncos essentially will pay him $124 million for just 2 years of service and 11 wins. Then there's the dead cap conversation. Denver will divvy up $85 million worth of dead cap hit over the 2024 and 2025 seasons. We'll find out later exactly how they'll split that up. Russ released a statement today saying, quote, "This city will always hold a special place in my heart. I am excited for what's next." Sean Payton also released a statement saying, in part, "We are focused on building the strongest team possible for 2024 and beyond." Let's take a look at how some of his former teammates reacted to the news on social media. Justin Simmons on X retweeted Russ's post, said, "All love." Patrick Surtain, his cornerback, "Forever solid, number 3. Then on Instagram, his favorite target, his wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, said, "Real one." And hey, even Michaela Schifrin chimed in saying, "We'll always cheer for you and Sierra. Best of luck for what's next." Everyone knew this was coming, just a formality. Now all eyes are on the NFL draft. Broncos have the 12th pick. They will draft a quarterback.
The next person to obsess over.
The next person to obsess over. We have months to do that.
It was so exciting just 2 years ago.
It was. Everyone was for it. There was nobody against this trade. And why would you be? Russell Wilson was one of the best players in the league. It just didn't work out. They probably shouldn't have signed him to that deal before they saw him play. Different discussion. But yeah, it's over.
Yeah, do we know what's next for him?
A couple teams out there, the Steelers perhaps may be interested. The Patriots need a quarterback. Teams like that are kind of okay but need a quarterback.
Desperate?
Desperate perhaps. Broncos are desperate too, but they're done.
Depends on your level of desperation. Okay.
There's his
right. Thank you, Jake.
She couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. She's terrified to this day.
DPD's SWAT team wrongly busted into an elderly woman's home, and now she is getting millions.
And sometimes those selfish choices have personal consequences, but they also have consequences for the rest of us.
Driving while tired may seem doable, but the numbers show it is killing thousands of people.
There's a good chance this 5-year-old in Colorado is smarter than you. His IQ is in the top 1%. We're back in 60 seconds. Way smarter than me, I can assure you.
I can't imagine having a 5-year-old that smart.
Buy now and win more with Children's Hospital Colorado Mighty Millions raffle. Go down under with the Audi in Australia VIP prize. An Audi Q7 plus a trip to Australia. Or take $100,000 cash. Plus the Porsche in Paradise early bird prize and the $2.7 million grand prize show home. This custom-built show home comes fully furnished, professionally decorated, and landscaped. Plus $875,000 in bonus cash. Buy now at MightyMillionsRaffle.com.
You know I got 2 home runs.
You got 2 jacks.
And then my grand slam, I signed the ball for you.
Okay.
And it says, "Papa, I love you."
Why did you do that?
Because you taught me everything about baseball.
I'm so sweet.
Denver's on the hook for another multi-million-dollar lawsuit related to Denver police. A jury last week awarded a 78-year-old grandmother more than $3 million after a trial that claimed armed SWAT officers wrongfully raided her home 2 years ago. The jury awarded Ruby Johnson $3.7 million. A DPD SWAT team raided her home in January of 2022 while looking for a truck stolen from a downtown Denver hotel. Police got a search warrant on Johnson's Montbello home based on the, that Find My iPhone. It signals of an old iPhone that was left in that truck, but they didn't find what they were looking for at her home. They didn't find the truck, cash, guns, none of that stuff that was supposed to be there. A jury agreed with the ACLU, which sued on Johnson's behalf, claiming there was not probable cause for a warrant. Today, the ACLU said Johnson still lives with trauma from the incident and has since moved out of her home.
She couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat, she's terrified. To this day, she's terrified of taking a shower because the search happened right after she'd gotten out of the shower, had on her bathrobe and her bonnet and her slippers, and was pulled out of her home on a cold January day.
The Denver Police Department declined to comment on the verdict and said they're still looking into the incident.
This week marks 33 years since a flight from Denver to Colorado Springs crashed in a park, killing the 20 passengers and 5 crew members on board. On March 3rd, 1991, problems with the rudder on United Flight 585 caused the plane to crash and roll over. It wasn't until something similar happened on a different plane 3 years later that the NTSB was able to figure out what caused that crash. There is now a memorial at the crash site. New research shows that the number of deadly crashes from people driving while tired is much higher than what federal data shows. AAA took an in-depth look at drowsy driving crash data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. This video part of that study where tired drivers were behind the wheel in a controlled testing environment to see what would happen. AAA says their research shows there are 10 times more deadly crashes involving sleepy drivers compared to what the government alone data shows.
A lot of people will say, oh, I can drive drunk, no problem. And yet we have thousands of people who die every year from driving drunk. With this new data, you might have people who say, oh, I can drive a little drowsy, nothing bad's going to happen. But we know that 30,000 people over the review period lost their lives because of a drowsy driver. In many cases, it was the drowsy driver.
AAA says many drivers don't realize they're drowsy until they're actually on the road. And that's when they say you need to pull over, take a nap.
A boy from the Colorado Springs area was just accepted into the prestigious high IQ society Mensa. And get this, he's just 5 years old.
Yeah, he's in kindergarten. Jacob Young, he's from Monument. His doctor told his parents that his IQ test scores could qualify him to get into Mensa. The Mensa test takes hours to do, and your IQ has to score in the top 2% of the general population to pass. Jacob got into the top 1%.
The conversations are like what you might have in a high school or college class, but it's with our 5-year-old at the dinner table.
This one still has 2 landing gears.
What? He is most interested in deep space, why the Titanic sank, and how airplanes work. Lauren, that's more than I don't like my vegetables.
I know. You just know when like a kiddo's going to do great things, right? We're going to have to follow him.
That's right. He had to been showing signs to get tested in the first. I can say that no one has ever even asked to test my IQ my entire life. So that's saying something.
Lauren.
But you got science. You understand.
Yeah, you're a scientist.
You know it more than I do. I'll tell you that. Meteorology.
I mean, I'm not Mensa certified. I don't think that day's ever coming, but let's go ahead and talk about something else before it gets sad, guys. Well, it is a little chilly out here in the 9 News backyard. This afternoon, though, we saw those temperatures very seasonal for this time of year. Let's go ahead and take a look at those highs. We saw a high of 50 degrees at DIA. Most of the Front Range at Eastern Plains was in the upper 40s to low 50s. We even saw some middle to upper 50s to the south and southeast. The high country was in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and then those 40s and 50s across the western slope. Of course, things are starting to cool down down now. The sun is long gone for the day. 31 degrees at DIA, mostly clear skies. Winds coming in from the northeast at 10 miles per hour, making it feel closer to 22 degrees on the skin. Here in the 9 News backyard, we're at 34 degrees, but I'd venture to say it feels like it's in the 20s out here, pretty chilly. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at our HD Doppler radar, where we're not quite done with the snow in the high country. The next few days, we're just going to see these lingering snow showers. Every now and then, some of the precipitation makes it into the Front Range and Eastern Plains, like what we're seeing to the north here. But all in all, we're just seeing the heavier snow off to the west. We could see some light snow showers through Glenwood Springs, even into Eagle, north of Vail. But again, the heaviest stuff is going to fall across the northern portions of the high country, just west of the I-25 corridor from Winter Park through Estes Park into Red Feather Lakes. We're seeing some of this precipitation move its way through the northern portions of the Front Range and Eastern Plains. We kind of expected that. And we've been dry in Denver all day. We've also expected this. We do have some light snow flurries up in the foothills, but again, the heaviest snow is going to continue to fall where we do have this winter weather advisor in effect through midnight. These areas include Rocky Mountain National Park, Medicine Bow Range, and Rabbit Ears Pass. These areas aren't expecting a ton of snow, maybe around 2 to 5 additional inches. But what we're really watching for will be these winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour. That's what creates that blowing snow, reduced visibility, and hazardous travel. So we go in through the overnight hours. We continue to watch for the lingering snow showers in the high country, but we're clearing out across the Front Range and Eastern Plains. Tomorrow morning, we're waking up to some sunshine for the first portion of our Tuesday. Then midday, that cloud cover creeps in. The mountain snow showers begin to expand, and then we start to see some of this precipitation move its way eastward again, but very isolated, very spotty as it moves through the Front Range and Eastern Plains. Most of it staying north again. I think Denver is going to stay dry as we go throughout our Tuesday. Tonight, in the meantime, overnight lows in the 20s for most of the state. We'll see some teens in the high country. Temperatures tomorrow look a lot like what we saw today. Low 50s in Denver. We can see those upper 40s, low 50s across most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains, 30s in the high country, 30s through 50s out west. You take a closer look into our Front Range forecast highs for tomorrow. Middle 40s through low 50s in Denver, 30s and 40s in the high country. Lots of 40s and low 50s in the northern portion of the Front Range, and then those 30s up in the mountains. So the next few days were mostly dry across the Front Range and Eastern Plains with those very spotty rain shower chances. And then we take a look Thursday through Friday. That's when our next system comes in. We start to dry out by next weekend. Don't forget to set those clocks forward.
9 Weather, sponsored by Furniture Row.
Time to lace them up and take a tour of the city. Run around Sloan's Lake, in the stadium, downtown, and through Denver Zoo. Denver Colfax Marathon, presented by Cigna. Denver's largest, with 2 days, 8 races, and 21,000 runners. Register now.
Carpet Exchange has everything for your floors. Carpet, tile, hardwood, area rugs. If you can walk on it, we've got it. Right now, get waterproof, kid-proof, pet-proof CoreTech starting at $199 a square foot at Carpet Exchange, your floor store.
Internet that's everything you imagine, and then some. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Sign up today and get internet with a price for life. Keep your internet service monthly rate for as long as you keep your plan. Internet service monthly rate subject to continued plan availability.
Moving forward requires knowing what's on the road ahead. As energy demand continues to rise, we're working to meet it safely and responsibly here in Colorado. Our next-gen tankless facilities reduce the greenhouse gas emissions of our operations by more than 90% compared to our older designs. Working to provide affordable, reliable, ever-cleaner energy so everyone can follow their own road. That's energy in progress.
Broncos Country. Help your community and drive with pride. Show off your fandom and support the Denver Broncos Foundation with a Denver Broncos license plate. To be eligible, first visit denverbroncos.com/license plates or scan the code on your screen to complete the $40 donation to the Denver Broncos Foundation. Then, in 2 to 3 weeks, you'll receive a confirmation pin that you can take to your local DMV for your new plates. Let's cheer on our team and do some good for our community. Go Broncos!
Broncos really heated up trade talks. They got this monster deal done.
Without further ado, so much has been said.
Denver's been looking to replace its quarterback since Peyton Manning retired.
Your Denver Broncos just pulled off the steal of the century.
Number 3, Russell Wilson, starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
They wind up on the season with a 5-12 mark. Lots of optimism for this season.
The Broncos' 5th straight win.
Wilson, safety blitz. Russ hit as he throws. That ball deflected.
There's a very animated discussion. Russell Wilson essentially getting benched.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing.
They will be releasing quarterback Russell Wilson.
Whew, the highs and lows of Russell Wilson. Unfortunately, there were more lows with Russ. Today, the Broncos announced the worst kept secret in all of pro sports. They will release Wilson at the start of the new league year on March 13th. The team released a statement today saying they have notified Russ that he will be let go by releasing their quarterback. Now the Broncos essentially will pay him $124 million for 2 years of service and just 11 wins. Then there's the dead cap conversation. Denver will divvy up $85 million worth of dead cap hit over the 2024 and 25 seasons. We'll find out later exactly how much and how will they split that up. Russ sent out a statement saying, quote, "This city will always hold a special place in my heart. I'm excited for what's next." Sean Payton also released a statement saying, in part, "We are focused on building the strongest team possible for the 2024 season and beyond." Our Broncos insider Mike Kliss on what this all means for the Mile High City.
A lot of people are saying it's a contract why they're releasing him, but they're eating $39 million. They're paying him $39 million this year. And if a team decides to pay $39 million to a player to go away, that means the coach didn't like that quarterback for whatever reason. Then Sean Payton came in and he wasn't committed to Russell Wilson, the way the rest of the organization was. And so they move on, they start over. Maybe they can stay on the same page and have the GM, the head coach, the owner, and the quarterback where everybody's invested in the same people, those top 4 pillars of an organization. They all have to be combined as one. Broncos haven't had that in 7 or 8 years. And that's what they need going forward if they're going to dig out of this hole that they've been in, really since Super Bowl 50 in the 2015 season.
It's a big hole. What's the best way to forget about getting blown out 5-1 by the Predators? Beat up on the next opponent you play, and that's exactly what the Avs did tonight. They were hosting the Chicago Blackhawks, who they beat 5-0 2 games ago. First period, 2 goals for the Avs, and one of them from Nate the Great. 1-0 Colorado, his 38th of the season. Another point in another home game. The streak's up to 30 straight home games with a point. 5 minutes later, his former junior league hockey buddy, Jonathan Drouin from Ross Colton, his 11th of the season. 2-0 Avs. They had a 4-0 lead after 2. McKinnon ended up scoring again. The Avs win it 5-0. What a response, led by the point streak man himself, Nathan McKinnon.
Just feel good to see her on home ice for whatever reason. Obviously getting a lot of bounces as well. I think a lot of guys are playing really well at home, and I'm getting some points. I mean, it's a game we're supposed to win. Sometimes those are tough. A lot of pressure on us, especially after poor game against Nashville. It's nice to get back in the win column.
After a day off yesterday, the defending NBA champs were back in the gym today. The Nuggets, they've won 6 straight games out of the All-Star break. They have some big games coming up this week. They host the Suns tomorrow night, then the NBA's best Boston Celtics on Thursday. So winning 6 games in a row is a confidence booster, right, Coach?
It reminds guys that, okay, coming out of the break, having to kind of change that mindset and get back to playing at the level we know that we're capable of. And with 21 games to go, we know that as great as 6-0 is coming out of the break, we have a lot of really tough games in front of us. Everybody's saying how great we are, and no, you can't listen to that, because I do feel that we still have another gear, another level that we can get to as a team.
Spring training action this afternoon. Rockies and Giants. Chris Bryant at the plate. Yeah, mashes one to center field. His second home run of the spring. Colorado ends up winning 12-10. But, the big story in the city, Russell Wilson, he gone.
Yeah.
Another QB, gone.
Well, that house is available, though.
Oh, yeah.
I heard you're putting a bid on
I
it.
was about to say, can we put our
Kim
coins
Christensen
together?
putting a bid on the
Well,
Russell
they
Wilson
have
house.
all the bathrooms in that house. I want to know if they really in 2 years
4
got
rooms,
to
12
appreciate.
bathrooms, something
You
like
got
that.
to appreciate each one,
Yeah.
shower in each one or whatever.
Yeah, sweet family, but when you don't produce on the field. you
And
got
they had
to
a
go.
baby while they're here, so they have good 2 years to remember something by. Okay.
It was
all
2
right.
years.
Bye.
Bye.
Start your day with Colorado's news leader on 9 News Mornings.
We need to reduce plastic waste in the environment. That's why at America's beverage companies,
our bottles are made to be remade.
not all plastic is the same. We're carefully designing our bottles to be 100% recyclable, including the caps.
They can be collected and separated from other plastics.
And then turned back into material that we can use to make new bottles. When that circle's completed, it can help us reduce plastic waste.
Please help us get every bottle back.
Children's Hospital Colorado Mighty Millions raffle is back. You could win the $2.7 million grand prize show home, plus over 6,600 incredible prizes. Buy now at MightyMillionsRaffle.com.
We've talked too much.
I know.
We're out of time. Thanks
4
for joining
rooms,
us.
12 bathrooms. Russ?
See? Good night.
Thanks for watching 9 News. Join us again tomorrow morning at 4:30 or watch any of 9 News content live or on demand with 9 News Plus. Available wherever you watch.
9 News closed captioning sponsored by Furniture Row. With the largest selection at the lowest prices, isn't it time to create a home you love? Furniture Row.